Yo, me movie be aquaba at the bar. I Kwame Gentle TV. So the name no. And your first time I over subscribe it, over like it, no I share. Now on watch the wide or comment section honum. And some a coso or maimu and the Burma. And Gankane politics and at the bar.
Let's look at this government, President Akuffo Addo. People lied about him. Some said he didn't even go to law school. Why, if you don't go to law school and you serve an apprenticeship, you can still practice law?
Back then, when that was still possible.
Back then, when that was still possible.
That is no longer the case.
Yes.
But back then, when it was
So when people say that, you see, the lie is subtle. They make it look like he has received no training at all and has practiced. So that, whoever said it, lied. In the same way, people said former President Mahama had hotels in Dubai. 7 years on, where are the people who said those things? They lied. And they used it to gain some advantage. They are still enjoying those advantages. But who is calling them to be responsible for the lies they told? So the Ghanaian populace cannot just sit back whilst people come and lie to gain power. And after they gain power, they go silent. We need to get to a point where, like the Welsh government has decided to do now, they are working on an act that will make it such that any politician who lies, public servant in high office who lies, is banned from public service for life. In Ghana, being banned from public service for life is not enough, because if they have stolen enough through their unethical deals, through their nepotism and cronyism, if you ban them, they still go home and live well. We must look at the possibility of enacting something on our law books so that those who lie in high office, those who lie in positions of public authority, actually go to jail. The next election, let us let every politician know, if you tell a lie, you will be banned from all public service, right? Now, some will say, oh, if I tell a lie that I got home at 8 when I actually got home at 7. I mean, anybody who makes that argument is just plain stupid. Egregious lies where you are using it to put another down for benefit for yourself or benefit for your cabal.
Yeah, but someone will say where you draw the line, and
where we draw the
line,
where
we see between opacity and
where we draw the line
else.
will be
what
in
you may see so clearly, someone may say, and that's
why we have a parliament.
Anyway, that's the bit, because when it comes to the law, that is why you can't test, for example, spiritual matters. Oh, someone is a
this is not spiritual matters.
Relax. That's why I'm telling you that for the sake of...
You are extrapolating too far from the point.
Ambiguity, the least ambiguity in law will not stand. You know that.
We have to test this in Parliament. Why? Our big problem in Ghana is corruption. Look, at the time when we said we don't have money for the renal unit of Kolebu, somebody was signing, ordering for an emergency check to be paid to the president's daughter or the person with whom the president's daughter exchanges bodily fluids to go and service ambulances, let's stay with a lie.
Hold there. It wasn't for the president's daughter, and we don't know whether she exchanges. It wasn't for the president's
How do you have a child with somebody without exchange your bodily fluids?
We don't know whether
are you an NPP communicator now?
Currently exchanges bodily fluids.
But listen to me.
That is out of this context.
But listen to me. So at the time when you don't have money for the renal unit, what lie caused government to say people may die? Important that we must make this payment.
That we can look at.
What lie caused that? Because all these things, everything we do is based on narratives. And if the narrative is a narrative of untruth, then we are not headed for peace and prosperity. Right. The lies in Ghana must not be about the lies of the foot soldier. It must be the lies of those in leadership. For if those in leadership can be truthful, they can check their foot soldiers. I know some people who accept that they are no good, who will start by saying, oh, but the leaders come from the people, so the leaders will be as bad as the people. Not true. The leaders come from the people, but the leaders must be the best elements of the people in skills and competencies, as well as in truth-telling and character. It's important because our difficulty in Ghana, the biggest difficulty in Ghana today is corruption. And all corruption starts with a lie, followed by nepotism, cronyism, before that, greed. But if we cannot tackle the lies and greed in our politics, nothing is going to change. People lie for personal benefit. There's so many reasons why people lie. People lie to cover themselves. People sometimes leave important stuff out. They won't tell you the full story. That itself too is a lie. So how long do we want to suffer this in Ghana? In your family, you're raising your children not to lie, to be true to themselves and to speak the truth about who they are and what they do. End of story. If you're raising your children as such, aren't you raising great leaders for the future? Because they are true to who they are and they are true and capable of speaking truth about what they do. But we have people lying and benefiting from the lies. And we are sitting there, still twiddling our thumbs, still tickling our armpits and laughing, and waiting for who to come and fix it. Now, I say, if this were to go to Parliament, anybody in Parliament that knows he's a liar will not vote for it. That's the fact. If you know you're a liar and you know that you have benefited from lies, there is no way you're going to vote for something like this.
In other words, you're admitting that this proposal of yours will never see the light of day.
Are you saying that most of the people in Parliament are liars? Because that's implicitly what you've just stated.
Well, I am saying that we know very well how politics is played in our part of the world.
No, I don't
say that.
I don't believe that all the people in Parliament are liars.
To say that those members of Parliament will pass such a legislation, which likely would indict them, is not going to happen.
If you know you are here to do good for the people of Ghana, you will enact laws that will help the people of Ghana.
And this will
it will stop you. It will stop you, the leaders, from being lying individuals, from being thieves, and all the thievery starts with lies.
Let me tell you, have you thought through the legal arrangements that would be required to get something like this, through? I mean,
the whole
what do you think? I don't know what example.
The whole world will come to this someday, because you see, you are standing in a place where you think the status quo is okay. Are you happy with the status quo?
I'm not saying the status quo is. There are other ways of going about the status quo. Look at, I've mentioned Japan and South Korea. Look at a society like Norway.
We can always look at other societies for inspiration.
Look at how they've managed.
We must look at ourselves.
You don't need a law like this, do you?
You do.
Really?
You do. Every nation is governed by laws.
So tell me, how
do you
mean? I mean, if
you cannot marry somebody who is under 18,
if you want this
that's
to
our
go
law.
forward. So let me ask you, what shape, what form do you think a law like this will take upon your reflection? How do you think a law like this will get legs to stand on its feet? What would be your thinking?
Essentially, what are laws for? Laws are there to safeguard the humans in whatever protectorate that those laws are made for.
All right, I want us to talk about greed, but basically then what you're saying is lying through one's teeth, pathological lying, especially by those in leadership, should be front and center conversation if we want to deal with the entire nation. If we want to deal with greed, corruption, and all its concomitant effects. But let's talk about greed itself. I mean, just this morning in one of the papers, unfortunately, I don't have the newspaper here, but it was talking about the man you mentioned, Bright Simmons. I've followed his posts on many things, and he talks about, is it the RGGR or something of the sort, the Royal Gold, the new gold refinery that we have. And the fact that for him, he feels it is just another backdoor route for the Ejapa deal, if you remember what that was. Let's talk about greed in governance. Some will say that everywhere you go, well, there may be some pilfering here and there depending on what society you are in. And perhaps the 11th commandment, don't get caught. But in our jurisdiction, some feel this has been taken to levels unparalleled and seen before and harnessed and bridled. How do we tackle greed?
We tackle greed by starting with the liars. You see, you talk about the Ijapa. If you've read what Ijapa was proposing and how we're going to hold all our mineral resources in something where we can use it to go and borrow for Ghana, the narrative itself is one of falsehood. And that is where all the problems begin. The problems begin with a lie to an electorate that is partly illiterate or partly unconcerned, or an electorate that is wise and very well educated but is part of those plundering, so will not speak, or an electorate that is so hopeless they've been bludgeoned into misery, so they don't even have the energy to speak because they are focusing on getting a little money to buy their food or their medicine. As one man I gave money the other day said, gave him money to go get himself some food. He says, "Rah, I can't even be to." And I said, "Nothing." He says, "Me with diabetes, me did be a me fedro." And he told the I have to choose between buying food or medicine. The truth is, some people in leadership are honest and dignified, but others are liars and must be kicked out of serving in any public office. How do we start it? We can't just sit there and pretend that all is kosher. How do we start it? See, one elder statesman wrote to me and he says, "Kwesi, thank you for the work you're doing. Sometimes you get very angry. Be careful. It might give you high blood pressure." And I said, those who love hurt the more. If you love the country you're from, if you love this country, Ghana, and you see anybody harming the country, it will disturb you. And that's why I have great respect for Bryce Simmons. Not only him, there's so many others who are writing and speaking up for Ghana in civil society and so many other, groups and even journalists too. But we need to speak. We need to let lying, greed, corruption be front and center of the agenda setting of the media in Ghana for at least the next 3 months, to sensitize every citizen that when you are appointed a leader, lying is a no-no. And if you're caught lying, you're banned from public office for the rest of your life.
Okay, so we have to conclude on the matter of greed, but as you keep on talking about lies, you know what just came to mind? The president in recent times at that forum talking about misinformation, disinformation, essentially lies. I don't know whether you followed that conversation because he even pointed to the media and others, misinformation and disinformation. But we see the political actors do it perhaps more than any other.
See, if I were to list names, I would have plenty. But like I said, today I am not playing to any political party's benefit. Let us look at every lie every politician has told. And let us look at the possibility of ensuring that they cannot hold any public office ever again. So in the Akuffo era, somebody who was at the PPA doing egregious harm to Ghana, Nana Addo becomes president and Nana Addo appoints him. Why? So in the Mahama era, some people, maybe Abu Kapele did wrong and went to jail. So if somebody in Mahama's tradition comes, Abu Kapele will be appointed again? Why are we doing this to ourselves?